It's wild. This is his last week as a full-time performer in WWE. Now he's wrestling once. It's on Saturday. But still, this is it. This is what we've all been building toward. Is this last moment John Cena in the WWE as a performer? So let's look ahead and get ready for what should be an emotional weekend in the WWE. So, WWE pushes toward John Cena's last match. And honestly, the main part of every debate with this is, what do you do with John Cena? I think having him lose the IC title to Dominik Mysterio, it adds a little bit of the drama to this of will he win or won't he. I think if this was for the IC title, obviously he's not retiring with it. So you have a little bit of that. And then you have the discussion of, like, are they really going to make him lose his last two matches? How are we going to do this here? So I think you at least have the possibility of John Cena winning this match in everyone's minds a little bit. I think that'd be the wrong move. I think you have to win it with Gunther here. But you at least keep that possibility. I've also seen a lot of criticism of Gunther getting this chance. And, like, yes, I get wanting to have a young wrestler do this. But, and this is where you kind of always miss out on I think some other people miss out on it needs to be a young wrestler thing. And this is where I think some wrestling fans not being sports fans, comes in. Obviously, there is a lot of crossover between the two, but there are a lot of wrestling fans who are just wrestling fans, and that is fine. Like, you do you, homie. Whatever. Like, no criticism here at all. But it is not just as simple as, oh, well, this kid's 23. Javon Evans should beat John Cena in his last match. Why? Because the kid can not even rent a car. And because of that, you are going to give him this win, and it is going to elevate him, and it's going to carry him for the next 20 years of his career. Or you're going to give it to Gunther, who's already 40? How could you possibly? What is he going to get out of it? You need to have someone ready for that. It is not just as simple as they win, and thus they are now John Cena, and they are ready for this and everything like that. You look at, like, a few different times where they've tried something along those lines. Fandango beating Jericho at WrestleMania. In theory, it makes all the sense in the world. Younger performer comes in, beats Chris Jericho, made man. The problem is they didn't build the character up well. It was okay. Didn't build the character up well and didn't follow it after. You didn't have this character ready for this. And so instead of, well, he's young, so now he gets this big win and off he goes. Instead of that, it was he was young, he wasn't ready for it, the crowd wasn't ready for him to have it, and thus we have now wasted this big opportunity. And I'm not saying if you had Javon Evans win this tournament and beat John Cena and like that he wouldn't be ready for it, but you need to have someone who the audience believes in and who you know is going to be ready. This shouldn't be a first step for someone. This should be the last step for some people. And, like, I am one of the few who thinks the Brock Lesnar win over The Undertaker was an okay thing for them to do. Now, stick with me for a second on this. I can, like, the other one, like, the other two that would have made sense would have been Randy Orton winning it at WrestleMania 21. Maybe a little bit too early in the whole scheme of things. But Randy was obviously going to be a star. He was obviously ready for it. And then CM Punk winning it. Now, obviously, a year later, he's gone, so that wouldn't have worked all that well. But at the time, that felt like if you want to really make this guy, this is the one that you give him for that. But for Brock Lesnar, like, at the time, it's kind of weird to say this now, but at the time, we were all a little kind of over it with Brock. They hadn't booked it very well in like that whole kind of like pre-Undertaker thing. He'd come in, wrestle John Cena, but he lost to John Cena. And we did all these things, and it wasn't all that big and all that. Like, it wasn't as big as Brock Lesnar would become. But what they did with Brock is, like, he goes in, he beats The Undertaker. He has ended this streak. Brock's still wrestling. So if you want, like, I get there was a pause there for obvious reasons, and far be it for me to say nice things about Brock Lesnar, but Brock is still wrestling and was in the main event picture for the WWE for a long time after that, right? Like, he was in the main event of WrestleMania 31. He was in the title picture for forever right? Like that was WrestleMania 30. We're coming up on WrestleMania 42. It was 12 WrestleManias ago. And again, he's missed a couple for obvious reasons, but this was someone who stayed as a main event level wrestler for a decade after it, holding this dominant win over The Undertaker as one of the things that they did. So yes, would it have been better on Randy? Probably. Would it have been better on Punk? Absolutely. But because you had someone who maybe didn't necessarily fit the age demographic of what you were looking for, but he was ready for it and honestly needed a bit of a jump start, that was what you gave him. Gunther seems like a better dude, but in somewhat of a similar situation where he dominant title reign, but he's lost it. And the guy who he lost it to maybe wasn't ready for the opportunity, right? Like I had the thing, I thought Jey Uso was a good call for the Royal Rumble, but he has fallen off quite a bit. And so now like that loss, like he loses there, gets it back, loses to Punk. The Punk one was fine. But I mean, even then Punk gets cashed in on. And so Gunther becomes this afterthought a little bit. Gunther is a main eventer, but does he fit in the title picture right now? Probably not. Given the Braun breaker of it all, what are they doing with Seth at some point? Is he going over to SmackDown and wrestling Cody? Probably not. So Gunther doesn't really fit into the title picture right now, but he is going to be someone who's going to be a main eventer for this company for the next 5 years. Giving him this win reestablishes that greatly. And now you have a guy who you are planning on keeping dominant for a really long time, giving him this big win, this feather in his cap, and just establishing to a grander audience that this guy is for real. Because this is probably going to be a big audience. So yeah, it would be cool to get them familiar with Javon Evans with this win. But if you're a wrestling fan and you've brought up Gunther to non-wrestling fans, the first thing anyone asks is, oh my God, they didn't make him and you know where they're going, and we're going to cut it off there because you know the type of character that Vince McMahon would have made him 10 years ago. People don't know who this guy is for like the general public, right? And I'm not saying that he wins this and all of a sudden Gunther is going to be in Peacemaker, but this is a chance to show one of the dominant guys who you're going to build around for the next 3 to 5 years. Show this audience that he is that dominant guy. Get this across to him, and maybe you get a few more people sticking around next time to watch that asshole get beat by someone else. So I think Gunther is actually the right choice. I had said before, like, I think Penta would have worked there really well, but he's got hurt. I think Carmelo Hayes, if there would have been a way to build it, that would have been a pretty effective guy to do it with. And you could have built a faction out of it. I kind of laid that out on another video that we did. But for the way that everyone is sitting right now, and we can argue about how they haven't built up other guys. Like this is why I thought Braun Breaker was the guy to do this, because this would have been the last step of him getting over to that level. Now, in this time, he has gotten over. Now he's challenging for the title on the first anniversary on Netflix, and he might just win it. So we may have just passed go and collected $200 on that one. But they don't have anyone else ready in this spot that can take that ball and get to that next step. For Carmelo, it would be jump-starting a build that they have dropped the ball on for a year and a half. That's fine, but it's not what you need in this spot. And I don't think that's the way to get the most out of it. I think for this one, you want to establish, like, this is the final note on a guy, and I think it's the final note in getting Gunther right back into that main dominant status. So I have no problem with Gunther getting it. I hope that one thing we see here is that there are some call-ups ready, and we get these opportunities. Like, Oba's ready. Ricky Saints is ready. And I wonder now if Ricky kind of gets spun off into a thing with Cody, and kind of helps Cody with Oba there. Tough to do that in a heel babyface dynamic that they're going to have on Saturday, but like that match is going to be a lot of fun to see. I'm also very excited to see Sol Ruca against Bayley. Sol, I think, has star potential written all over her right now. The look, the moves, the match, all of that. Probably could use some work, but the rest of it, like she carries herself in a star way and has a star moveset, all these different things, right? The one thing I'm very interested in is, like, when you think, okay, what's the way that we can maximize Sol Ruca? It is probably someone like Lyra Valkyria or Io Sky, like a fast-paced, high-flying type of a match. I think this is a good test to see. Like, Bayley, it's not Great Khali in there, but Bayley's not going to be running around and doing planchas and doing this, that, and the other thing, or a lot of them. Anyway, Bayley is a bit more of the style of wrestler that Sol is going to have to work well with to get to that championship level on the main roster. So, yes, it would be cool to see her do a bunch of flippy dippy shit and have a really, really fun match. But I'm interested to see when you don't have as many of those things and you do have to work a regular wrestling match, for lack of a better term, can you still be entertaining? Do you still come across as a star? Because this is probably the style, rightly or wrongly, this is probably the style you're going to have to work when you get to that championship level on the main roster. So I think a really interesting test for Sol Ruca coming up on Saturday at Saturday night's main event. A lot more coverage of this to go throughout the week on Couch Potato Diary and on Living Room Lariat. We are streaming live right now on a few different platforms and have been going for a couple of hours. I'm going to be on Sportsnet 960 throughout the rest of the week. But again, I miss this. I miss you guys. I want to do these live more often. So going to be back live. I'm saying it right now, so I can't get out of it. Going to be back live on Wednesday at 4 p.m. for sure doing that. I was hoping to do a Tuesday one, but I remembered I have a thing. So we will see about Tuesday. But Wednesday for sure, 4 p.m. We're going to be back live here doing the thing on a couple of these platforms. Anyway, so keep it locked to my social media for all of that.